Okay. I'm
Excellent.
Nicole.
I'm Katie.
We're from Unfold, and we know a lot of you. So we marketed this to our clients and prospective clients so that we can start to teach you about our offerings. We know some of our offerings aren't typical. A lot of you have never done a lot of these things before, and we just want to add a face to our service list for you. So today we're talking about walking meditation. It's summer almost. It's nice out. So this is a favorite of our clients when it gets nice out.
Exactly. And I think, some of the services that we offer, they can be a little bit different, like Nicole said. So our hope is that we have these webinars about once a month so that you guys can ask us questions about different topics, understand how we actually implement something like a walking meditation into a workplace setting. Like, what would that look like? What are some challenges that we've seen? How have we addressed some of them? And then also for you just to get a better understanding of what some of these things are. Like, before I was a yoga teacher, I didn't know that there even was such a thing as walking meditation, and it's a really lovely practice, and we find that it works well in the office. So this is our time to kind of share the little interesting nooks and crannies of some of these things that we're bringing into the office space, and for you guys to ask us questions, and they can be as specific as you want to your office, to your company, to your culture. Definitely don't be shy. We want this to be more of a discussion so that you guys really get some value out of it and feel like you have something to take back with you to think about, hopefully plan some interesting things for your teams.
Yeah, and so we've geared this towards HR professionals, but we know that within different companies, it's not always the HR person hiring us. Sometimes it's a team leader or, just a member of a group who wants to bring us in. So feel free to share with your friends our website, our services, and we'd love to connect with anyone who could use a little meditation or yoga. So today, specifically walking meditation. This can be done outside or inside. Like I said, in the summer months, we like to promote it as a nice thing to do outside. It's a nice way to practice meditation for people who don't like to just sit and close their eyes. We know that's really hard for a lot of people. It's hard for us too, and we've been doing this a long time. So this is a way to also add a little fun. Like, it's good to get outside. It's good to join together as a group and have a fun activity. So it's not something that you necessarily need to do weekly, every day or every week. It could be once a summer kind of thing. It could be once a month during the summer months kind of thing. And it could be weekly if you want to. So how it usually works is we usually convene. So if we're going to be walking outside, we usually start near the front door or kind of in a group outside. We'll usually come into the building to meet you, whoever our client contact is there, get everyone, on the same page, and then we'll all convene as a group. So we'll stand outside somewhere, usually in the shade, and talk. So we'll discuss what's going to happen. So this is not intended for people who are regular meditators. People can be brand new to any of this. So we always, in all of our classes, give a primer, brief people on what's going to happen, so they're not worried or wondering what's going on. So then I'll give a brief introduction, say what walking meditation is. It's meditating while walking. Brain science here. But there are some keys to doing it well. So I'm going to tell people what to kind of pay attention to, what to look out for. So I like to break my walking meditations up into 3 segments. So like I said, the first one, we stand, we talk about what it is. And then I tell people for the first segment, to just start to notice how your body moves. Like, can you feel your feet touching the floor? Can you feel your arms swinging by your sides? Can you feel the wind in your hair? Any of those things. So that first segment will then start to walk silently, either in a line, doesn't have to be like a specific line, but kind of as a group, everyone kind of starts to spread out. But I'll usually lead the line, and then people will start to follow. And then I'll stop, and then everyone, that's the cue to stop as well. And then we'll regroup, and we'll either close our eyes and meditate standing for a few minutes, or I'll then discuss what to do in the next segment. So in the next segment, I like to get a little more detailed. So not only can you feel your body moving, but what are you noticing about your surroundings? And something great about walking meditation is that your eyes are open. They have to be safe. Like, we want everyone, of course, number one priority is to be safe and see the bump in the road or see the
geese crossing the
yeah,
street.
exactly. You never know what you're going to find, which is the beauty of it. It's really fun. So they're looking around, but can you look at the road in front of you without your eyes darting or without your mind wandering? So those are the next steps for the second segment, is to just take in your surroundings without getting distracted by them. And then we stop and reconvene. I usually have people close their eyes, kind of scan through the body, see how they feel. And then the last segment, try to notice how you feel, like in your mind or emotionally. So as you're walking, you're still paying attention to your body, how it's moving. You're paying attention to your surroundings. Can you hear the birds chirping? Can you hear the car driving by without getting distracted by it? But then also, what's your mood? What's going on in your mind? Is your mind racing? Can you learn to slow that down? Can you breathe a little slower? And then finally, we stand and reconvene. So a lot of clients, we can do a loop somewhere. And this is something that when we're in the planning process with you, we will discuss ahead of time. All of your office spaces are different, whether you're in the suburbs or the city. In the city, we can even walk to a park, walk around a park and then come back, or we can do it in the city streets. Really interesting to take in all those smells, scents, noises, distractions. But we could also do it indoors. So if you have the space in your building, some buildings have like a walking path, some just have hallways where you can walk down. So there's really no limits, but we do like to enjoy the summer months while we can. So that's why we promote it, to get you outside.
Mm-hmm. So that kind of breaks down like how the walking meditation works, how we usually structure it. And in terms of how long it can be, it really does kind of vary. Like all of our programming, it depends on what you're looking for. So some of our clients will do kind of like a shorter 20, 30-minute walking meditation. I think that works really well. We've also had certainly longer ones, about an hour, 45 to 60 minutes. And those are nice because we could take our time a little bit more and kind of explain each one of those stages that Nicole just went through. We can get a little bit deeper. We can have a little bit more time to ask questions and to lengthen out some of those meditation experiences within each segment.
And like all of our programs, it's totally customizable. So we can add a little movement. We can even do a little yoga before, especially yoga to get you standing with good posture. Mm-hmm. Walking is easier and better for you if you have good posture while you do it. So we can do a little bit of asana yoga poses before and after if you want. We can do some breathing techniques to learn how to breathe a little slower while you're walking. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of standard in all of our programs, is we can really customize it to you. Some of our clients say, we'd rather not do any yoga, or we'd rather not do a yoga pose where someone's butt is in the air. We've had all these requests, and it's totally fine. That's why we're here, is to work with you and, mm-hmm. and your group and your surroundings to make it the best class that it can be.
All right. So I'm going to get into, before we get into some of the reasons why I really like this kind of practice in an office setting. Does anybody have any questions so far? We kind of, we just discussed what the walking meditation is and what the class looks like. Anybody have any questions about that before we continue? People a minute.
Yeah, just feel free to type in questions, and then you'll get an email after with a chance to fill out a survey and to email us if you have any questions.
Cool. All right. So one of the reasons why we wanted to bring this practice into the office, and why I think that it works really well, we got a question here. Do you have an ideal group size for minimum or maximum? That's a great question.
I'd say no, because all of this is totally customizable. And like, if you told us you had 100 people that want to do that, we'd make it work. We'd probably bring 2 or 3 instructors and maybe lead different groups. But no, I think if one teacher is leading, like 10 to 20 people mm-hmm. is manageable. Less than that, of course. If you have 2 people, that's fine. But just depending on your space, and you don't want to be bumping into people. But that being said, while you're walking, people just kind of spread out. So there's no real size guidelines. And like you said, like I said, if it's 500 people, we'll make it work and bring extra instructors and figure it out. So that's all stuff that we talk about when we're planning with you.
Cool. Okay, so one of the reasons why this is so cool in offices is because something that Nicole and I are really passionate about is figuring out ways that we can bring these really ancient yoga practices and make them accessible for people. And when you talk about things like meditation, if you've got somebody in your office who's never meditated, but let's say it's an initiative that you'd like to start, or you'd like to try to start to educate people about and get them maybe interested in this for whatever reason, most people can walk comfortably. So you're not sitting, and the idea of sitting in silence can be really intimidating and overwhelming, and it is very difficult even for seasoned meditation practitioners. So this is something, like Nicole mentioned in the beginning, that gets people moving and gets them into their body. So we start to experience some of the benefits of meditation, calming anxiety, relaxing the mind, helping to increase our ability to focus and pay attention, build that self-awareness, but we're doing it through movement. So it's really just a moving meditation. So I think that it takes a lot of the intimidation factor out of it. And we find that people who might not come to a regular meditation class or a regular yoga class, they're like, oh, I can walk, I'll put on my Fitbit and I'll go and do a couple loops, and they really can get something from it. That's the first reason. The second reason is that, most people are, when they're in the office, are walking around. You're walking to the printer, you're walking to get a cup of coffee, you're walking to your car, you're walking to the train, whatever. So walking is this really common thing that most of us are doing in our lives. So it's a way to take something really basic, something that we're all doing all the time, and apply these mindfulness principles to that. And that's something that we talk a lot about in our presentations. How can we take this stuff and weave it into our lives in a way that doesn't feel overly complex or overly time consuming? And walking meditation is it. And we'll hear people say like, oh, after I did that, like I found myself walking around the grocery store differently, or I found myself being aware of how I was standing when I was brushing my teeth or whatever. So it's a really lovely way to weave in some of the benefits of this stuff in a very simple, accessible way.
Yeah. For me, it seeps into your personal life. So normally if I'm going to commute, if I'm walking to the train, I'm going to like throw my headphones on, listen to a podcast, like half listen to something and be distracted. So walking meditation gives people the opportunity and the experience of walking without doing anything else. Like that's all you're doing. If you think about like all those things Katie said, walking to the printer, walking here and there, we're walking because we're going somewhere. And so it gives us those opportunities to first of all, when you're doing this practice, you're not walking to go anywhere. You're just walking for the experience of walking. So having that experience, but also then later on when you are commuting, something that might be a little bit annoying for you, you can make it less negative by putting a mindful spin on it. So commuting can be a little more pleasant. So we do walking meditation, we do sound meditate, like using all of your senses, chopping vegetables mindfully, making your coffee mindfully. So these things can start to seep into your daily life. So it's not such a burden to commute or to prepare food or whatever it is. That's really our goal with a lot of our programming, is to put a new spin on something that we do every day.
Mm-hmm. All right. So another cool thing about this that people just might not know is that this is a really ancient practice. So if you've ever seen like photos on like Pinterest or whatever, like if you Google walking meditation, chances are you'll find like one of those really beautiful sort of walking mazes, and you'll see like monks with their hands behind their back and their head down, and people go to these really lovely places to practice walking meditation. This is an actual real practice that has a lot of roots and has been around for a really long time. So it's rare, I think, to find things like that you can bring into the office space, but have it be completely appropriate. There's no belief system. There's no, specific religion. Really the only prerequisite, you don't have to change your clothes. You don't need any equipment. The only prerequisite is that you need to be able to stand up and walk, which is usually good for most people to be doing anyways. So that's another thing that's pretty cool about this type of practice.
Yeah, totally. Any questions before we kind of wrap up? Okay, so you got a promotion in your email. So if you sign up in the next couple weeks, you can get a discount, which would be great. And we would like to get you scheduled while it's summer. We can do it through the fall, but if you're in Chicago, you know, it's kind of hit or miss. We always will have a backup location in case rain happens or whatever happens. So we will work with you to schedule that out. And again, walking in the office can be great too. It's a space where people are used to walking. They're kind of used to just zooming from desk to fridge or whatever, wherever they're going. So this is an opportunity to kind of put that on its head. Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions? We talked about what the practice is, how we've made it work in different offices, some of the benefits of it, some of the challenges we've dealt with.
Any funny stories?
Geese, man. We were doing a walking meditation once, and we had some geese cross our path, which was really awesome. It was like a really nice time to pause. And there was one person too on that same one where he was like, I'm going to stop and smell the flowers. And I was like, yeah, stop and smell the flowers. I've heard that
too. Yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah, it just heightens your senses.
Because we all know that phrase and we never do it.
Can you tell us the time you did this downtown?
We've done it in, I forget which park, but we were in a park.
Mm-hmm. Which one was it?
It was on the north side. I can't remember the name of the park, but anyway, we convened in a park, and it was kind of a offsite event or offsite thing for that company. And we walked around the park. We also have done it in people's offices. So like I said, it just depends on your office space. So some have like a loop around, you know, through cubes or whatever. Some offices have like a loop just internally. So we can either come to your space and do an evaluation, or you can just tell us and walk us through or FaceTime us through, and we can plan a route. We haven't yet done it on the streets of Chicago, but it's possible. I know. I think it would be really fun. But we would, again, have to plan out a route from your door to make it just really clear what's going on for everybody.
And also downtown, I think that rooftops could be a really cool option. Like traditionally, the practice doesn't require a lot of space. So this is, you know, we like going outside if we can, but traditionally it's a small circle. So yeah, doing something on the river, doing something on a rooftop, or like in one of the parks, or even just on the street, you know, walking a square block around on the sidewalks, I think it could be really, really interesting. There's just so many opportunities to engage the senses and focus the senses. So any of those would certainly work.
Yeah. And like Katie said, it's not intended to be like walk a mile. It's not about the exercise. You can do it standing and take a step forward and take a step back. So that's a type of walking meditation. You could take 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. We don't need a lot of room. But that being said, we do like to make it a fun experience for people. So going for a nice walk is really fun. So a lot of our suburban clients live on, or work on these like suburban campuses where there's a little lake we can walk around, or through a forest preserve, or just even around the block in the suburbs. So we do that a lot in the burbs, and like in the city, it's more of either in a park or in an office building kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good questions. Good questions. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. We're going to send up a quick follow-up survey. It's 3 questions for you guys about other topics that you might like to hear about. If this was helpful for you, you know, the goal of this is to give you guys some information to plan better stuff for your employees. So please be in touch with questions, and we will also send this recording out tomorrow. So you can forward it to people, you can review it with people, or, you know, if somebody you know couldn't make it, feel free to mention it to them. You can expect it in your inbox.
Yeah, so this is our first HR info session, and we're really excited to keep doing these because I know you read our services, you go to our website, and this is just a chance for us to explain what our intentions are and what works for other clients, and just kind of give you a face to our service list. So in that survey, just let us know what you want to see, what you want clarity on, and we can always schedule it. It's a one-on-one talk with you or email us. We're looking forward to walking with you this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Call us.
Excellent. Have a great day, everybody. Thank
Okay.
you very much for your time. Okay.
All right.